President Donald Trump says he still plans on participating in next week's debate in Miami. And if his Twitter account is any indication, the 45th president is feeling better after his stay at Walter Reed. But how would his treatment differ from that of an average Ohioan? News 5's Jordan Vandenberg goes in depth to find the answer.
Love him or loathe him, the president's health is a national security issue, and an economic one, too. The markets all improved once Marine One was seen flying to Walter Reed on Monday, signaling the president's return to the White House.
Even though he's back in the White House, he's still getting, I think, pretty intensive monitoring and care.
Dr. Keith Armitage, an infectious disease specialist at University Hospitals, says President Trump's treatment during his short stint at the hospital started off similar to that of an average patient, but it ended entirely differently.
And these are very common treatments that a lot of hospitalized patients get, and their treatments are pretty much available in every hospital in the United States. The unique thing about the president's treatment was this cocktail of monoclonal antibodies.
Dr. Armitage says the president's treatment of the antiviral remdesivir to start is very common. The drug was studied at UH back in March and April before the FDA authorized its use in May. Then the president was treated with a corticosteroid, dexamethasone. Dr. Armitage says those two treatments is what any hospitalized patient that needs supplemental oxygen is given. But the third, a cocktail of antibodies, isn't available to the general public yet.
The unique thing is getting this, manufactured mixture of monoclonal antibodies that has been tried in patients around the United States and is still being tried in clinical trials, but is not yet available outside of clinical trials. And the president is probably the only person that I'm aware of who got these products outside the context of a clinical trial.
Dr. Armitage says the cocktail of antibodies does not yet have FDA authorization, but appeals may be granted under what's called compassionate use. However, these antibody cocktails have had positive results in clinical trials.
And hopefully the combination will really put them in good shape. But really the second week is when you feel more confident, because some people kind of reach a stable plateau week one and then get worse week two.
Despite the president's statements on Twitter, quote, "Don't be afraid of COVID and don't let it dominate your life," the risk that COVID-19 presents is still there, health officials say. The U.S. has only 4% of the world's population, and yet it accounts for roughly 20% of the world's coronavirus deaths.
I think we need to continue to take precautions until we get to the end. We're getting more effective treatments and we're getting vaccines. I think the data on vaccines is very promising. So people need to hang in there. It's a pandemic. Keep wearing a mask till we get to the end. And I don't think the end is more than a few months off.
Dr. Armitage says that in many cases, patients experience their worst symptoms during the second week of infection. In Cleveland, Jordan Vandenberg, News 5.